Thanks for joining us in this webinar. Your time's really appreciated. So let's start right at the beginning. How did you get to where you are today, and why did you decide to go into sports coaching? Let's start with you, Nick.
Well, it was a while ago now. I had normal coloured hair at that stage. So I took a route through kind of GCSEs and A-levels. I did A-level PE, but didn't really know what I wanted to do. But I like playing football, so I went off and did a sports degree. But again, even at the end of my sports degree, didn't really know what I wanted to do. Went off to America, did some coaching over there for a few months in California and Nevada, which was a great experience. Then came back and found myself kind of falling into a sports development officer job in Milton Keynes at a specialist sports college at the time. And then that was a very multi-sport role, but my passion still was in football at the time. So found my kind of way through into a county football association before moving to the FA and leading national projects at the FA, all the way through to working with the England national boys teams from under 15 all the way through to the seniors with Gareth Southgate, before moving across into a head of coaching role at UK Coaching, which is now the whole coaching pathway from grassroots and kind of core sport, club sport, all the way through to the Olympic pathway and high performance.
Sean, for you've been at Sport England for 5 years, but of course you've had a very varied career. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I suppose my involvement in coaching and working in this industry stems from being a participant, being a player, being a football player and a futsal player, and I guess my passion and my involvement into the industry has come through that. I went to university, really, picked up a degree in coach education and sports development. And I guess my passion for sport, I always knew I was going to work in sport because, to be honest, there wasn't much else I was good at. But I didn't know where. I didn't know where that was going to be, and obviously carried on playing. And I also found an opportunity as an administrator at a county FA, and that was my first full-time job, just doing sort of the bookings, the administration side of it. But over the last sort of 10 years or so, I've had opportunities in leisure, worked as a leisure centre manager, had opportunities in education, supporting physical education in secondary schools, and more recently a county sports partnership, and then obviously the last few years at Sport England. So yeah, quite varied, but it's always been linked to coaching in some aspect.
Lydia, did the dream of becoming a coach start as a teenager, or did it come on in later life?
So it's a random one for me, actually. I didn't really play a lot of football growing up, always loved it, but didn't really have the opportunity to access it based on where I lived. So took up other sports, but had a real passion for sport, and had fantastic role models in the PE teachers that I had growing up. So when I came to thinking about A-levels, A-level PE was a really easy choice. It was what I enjoyed doing. And pretty much from that moment when I was thinking about a career, my first thought was to train to be a PE teacher. So once I finished my A-levels, I went to Brunel University in London and did a 4-year teacher training PE combined degree that meant I was out on placements each year of my course in schools. And when I graduated 4 years later, I went straight into teaching as a secondary school teacher in Aylesbury, where I did 4 years. But pretty much from the moment I went to university, I got involved with the women's football team, realised that I enjoyed playing. Quite quickly, from the coach that I had, got pushed towards doing a level 1 just to kind of help with my degree. I realised I loved coaching, and I worked with grassroots kids, and kind of from that moment onwards it spiralled uncontrollably for the whole 4 years I was at Brunel, and I ended up leaving 4 years later with a B licence and pretty much spending most nights of my week outside of any kind of university commitments coaching football. So when I started teaching almost became kind of like a means to allow me to continue coaching, and I was working full-time in the day as a teacher, but then coaching different age groups of players in the evenings and games at the weekend, and that continued for around 5 years before I had an opportunity to step into a role at the FA, which meant relocating and taking on a role that wasn't quite what I thought it would be initially, in terms of it wasn't loads of coaching, but it was a real step in. And 3 years on from that, after being a technical talent coach in the East, I was given the opportunity to move into the international pathway, having assisted age groups. And yeah, I've been a head coach now for just over 3 years. And, I thought PE teaching would be a lifetime career, but I found a passion elsewhere. And I think my teaching background's really helped my coaching now.
I'd like to stick on that point, if I can, with you, Lydia, about starting out as a PE teacher, because, back in the day, 10 years ago, if you became a PE teacher, there wasn't that many pathways to become a coach and reach the level that you have. What has changed that has enabled that pathway to grow, do you think?
Yeah, I think, I was just talking to someone about it this morning. I think, 10 years ago, if you wanted a career in sport, PE teaching was pretty much, the main one. And everyone, if you'd have asked them growing up, wanted to be a PE teacher. I think now there's a lot more accessibility and visibility in terms of the types of roles that are out there, and many more full-time positions. In fact, I was chatting to someone else this week about the fact that the first full-time job in football that I could access just happened to be one at the FA, whereas I think, 5-10 years on from that now, finding a full-time job within football as a coach is much more widely, well, there's many more opportunities to do that. So, and many more different pathways that you could take within that.
Nick, can I ask you, what is it about coaching that you love so much?
Well, it's one of those things, I think, that if you're going to coach and be effective as a coach, you really need to start to understand your own kind of values and beliefs and what drives you. So I think when I was a bit more of a novice coach, I got really hung up on the technical and tactical stuff, and the things that I thought made a difference. But really, having those kind of values and beliefs about what you stand for really should be the first port of call for you as a coach. And I've done a lot of soul searching on this, and I used to think it was about making a difference, and I've gone beyond that now, and I think it's about seeing people happy. And I've always coached alongside my kind of professional job, if you like, and I think seeing other people happy, seeing them grow, seeing them mature as young people, and also get a bit better at football is probably what drives me, I think.